Spending time abroad will often open doors and create experiences we didn't even know we were interested in. For 1 year, Nicholas and Harrison DeChant lived in Austria and taught English in secondary schools. In that time, they made lifelong friendships, gained experience in the classroom, discovered the beauty of Austrian culture and landscapes, and learned other valuable lessons that will be beneficial to them no matter what career path they ultimately take. During a recent visit to Vienna, Harrison and Nicholas sat down with us to talk about those valuable lessons and about where life has taken them since their time in the USTA program. Teaching assistants choose to participate in the USTA program for a variety of reasons. So what motivated Harrison and Nicholas to apply?
So one of the main things that motivated both of us to apply to the USTA program was combining a political science and German major that we had at Denison University. I had an amazing professor, Herr Gary Baker, and he said that this would be an amazing way for you to not only represent your nation, but engage and be a part of that cultural exchange that is so important to diplomatic efforts. And to learn the German language, to be immersed, was something that was an absolute privilege and really made us very skilled German speakers after a year here, especially with all the dialects. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Both Nicholas and Harrison lived and taught in Vorarlberg, Austria's westernmost province, approximately a 6-hour train ride away from the Austrian capital of Vienna. Though Vorarlberg isn't on every applicant's radar, Harrison and Nicholas were thrilled by their placement.
It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I think the conditions, the weather was very nice. We always had mountains to look up at. I always joke that I was sort of an inch taller when I was there because I was constantly looking up to look at the skyline all the time. People were extremely friendly. The transportation systems were excellent. I had wonderful mentor teachers, and the students were very friendly. So I was very lucky to be in such a Gastfreundlichkeit area of Austria. I was very, very, very taken by it, the beauty and the dialect as well. Yes, absolutely. I think the natural landscape of Vorarlberg is so stunning, and there are so many differences from the valleys to the mountains, of course, to Bodensee, and how connected so many of the people and the students that I got to teach were connected directly to work that has to do with the land, whether it was tourism or being part of the amazing culinary culture that is in Vorarlberg, and just the deep connection that people had to their homes, to the small valleys or mountaintops in which they called home. It was wonderful. Yes.
Life in Austria is an amazing experience abroad for U.S. teaching assistants, typically filled with more highlights and memories than one can count. And life in Austria was no different for Nicholas and Harrison.
I would say if I had to choose an event, I really enjoyed joining a choir, Vorarlberg State Chamber Choir. It was led by Benjamin Locke, who Harrison worked for. And so that was an amazing time to be able to make some music with some fellow people from the state of Vorarlberg, and also just get to know some of the Harrison's coworkers in a different way. It was just a really special time for us because that was the first time we had sang with a choir since the pandemic. And it was just very special to work on the really challenging music we were doing. We got to know so many people that we still keep in touch with today from the community. And that was a very important thing for us. There were also many celebrations that were highlights, such as the Funken, which is unique to the state of Vorarlberg, actually. So it helps to welcome the springtime, scare away the winter. If the witch's head on top of the burning pyre blows up, which is what we learned. So it was just an amazing time to be walking out and seeing all of my students helping to build the big pyres to burn to, welcome spring. There were a lot of highlights. I think I was sledding one day with my students in class, and I had sort of missed the pickup area. They started about 40 minutes ahead of me, and I, by myself, went on this hike. It was snowing in the Golden Pass, and I hiked for about 50 minutes, and from a far up ways, I heard, "Harrison!" And it was some of my students, and they recognized me, and they ran down, and we all went up, and then we sledded all the way down after an intense day of hiking in the winter, which was very special.
While in Austria, U.S. program participants serve as cultural ambassadors of the U.S., but living in Austria also gives them an opportunity to get to know Austrians and their culture.
I think in terms of connecting with Austrian culture, we realize that especially in Vorarlberg, Gastfreundlichkeit is a huge thing, to be friendly to guests and be welcoming. Yeah, and I mean, just the emphasis on, we did not pay for most of our groceries for the first week and a half when we were there. Yes. We were the new guests in Bludenz, and everybody had heard that there are these 2 new English teachers who we were welcoming. And so that was so amazing to understand the whole community saw the value of not only teachers and education, but of that exchange that we were participating. It was just surprising. You go and you try to buy bread and somebody taps you on the shoulder like, I've got this. I've got this. Yeah. So it was very wonderful. And I'm still very grateful to that community. I think that's something I take forward as well. We have so many international students at the Ford School for Public Policy at U of M. And I have made it a point to, if they need anything in terms of where to find coffee, where to find a bite to eat or groceries, like I absolutely take them there and help them. Yeah. Because I know that that's something you have to pay forward. I personally grew in my ability to sort of gauge time and time management and really in terms of professional skills, be responsible and communicative within your organization and learning how to understand different organizational structures with communication. That sounds very on the professional side, but it really was something that I took to heart and I have taken to heart in my professional life as well. I think also the close communication that the colleagues maintain with each other, the ability to speak with each other eye to eye, very closely and respectfully, I thought was really, really great. I really connected to that because I think in America, there's always, a lot of distance necessary. Like some people don't necessarily want to talk closely with each other, share those feelings, right? Yeah. But, I really connected to that. So I was happy that I was around a group of people who really leaned into each other rather than, stood apart. Yes. And they had a great sense of humor. Amazing sense of humor. It was good. It was good. Yeah.
After the USTA program, both Harrison and Nicholas decided to get a master's degree in public policy, and their time in Austria had unexpected benefits as they pursued their goal.
Both of us were able to witness some amazing policies in the state of Vorarlberg and in the regions and towns we were in, where local citizens' lives were enhanced and enriched and made better because of policy decisions at the county level, at the city level, and that really sort of inspired us to look at city and county level policy in America and say, how can we redesign things to maybe meet people's needs, to look at outcomes instead of outputs to make things efficient. It's how effective can these policies be? The decisions to invest in the infrastructure that makes the buses and the regional trains run so well and work so well are something that is so valuable that even though perhaps it might not be a profitable solution, it is something that is needed for the public to function. It's in the interest of the public good. The Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy, one of our mottos is being dedicated to the public good. Yes. Many of the different structures of government that we studied have a high adherence to pragmatism. And that pragmatism creates actually creative solutions that help in a concrete way. And we've taken away also the ability to understand different perspectives. Yes. I think something that's always interesting about being a twin is that people think, you must always be hitting the same idea. But in fact, it's mostly like, how can you generate 2 different perspectives always? Yeah. And that is something that we constantly try to do. And that's not through argument. That is through truly thinking and trying to understand. And that's part of this whole beautiful thing about the exchange program is that you put yourself there, you open yourself up, and you receive so much. And so much of what we received, intangible, inspirational things that we just walked by, the everyday normal, have taken us to a different approach and mindset when we enter public service back in the States. And I think that's part of the reason why Senator Fulbright created this program and why it needs to be maintain. And this is paraphrasing one of his quotes, but these exchanges in his mind when Senator Fulbright created this program was to make the world a bit more kinder, a bit more smarter, and also a bit more connected. And having people actually have those lived experiences of different perspectives is really valuable in the policy space because there isn't just one way to fix a problem. There are many creative ways, and other people have found them elsewhere, and it's our responsibility to go to those different places and listen and be open to that. So that definitely has inspired us in our public policy is to listen.
As alums of the program, Nicholas and Harrison have a bevy of lived experience that they can share with future applicants and program participants to help them have an equally fruitful time in Austria.
Say yes. Say yes to where your teachers want to take you. Say yes to going and doing things with your classes and engaging in tips and going to see tips that your teachers are giving you. They really are giving you their best, and it is worth it to pursue it. I would also echo some of these pieces of advice because being a part, an active member of your working space with your colleagues they want to be with you.
Yes.
They want you to go with them for the first couple months or the entire year, along with some of the interests that they have. Being with so many of my colleagues was just a great time because they wanted to show me parts of their lives, from hobbies to sporting events to actually skiing with them as well, cross-country skiing sometimes too. And so I would really recommend for any USTA to really try to connect with your colleagues and embrace the kids. They want to hear from you. They want you to be active in class. They want to ask questions. You've got to answer them. And you have to answer them in a way that helps them better their English learning skills, because that's how you enter into those really, really good conversations that makes the kid go home after class and say, hey, this topic was so interesting, but what I didn't even realize is I was speaking even better English.
Yes.
So that I think is something that people can really take away.
Yes, you can really motivate the students to speak well.
And learn how other people communicate and adapt to it. Because as soon as you are able to match and master that communication pattern and schedule, your experience is going to be so much richer. I think really taking your colleagues where they are and communicating in ways that are best for them can really, really create a connection that it did for us, certainly.
Yeah.
And also enjoy it. Like really savor every day. The ups and the downs is something else I would say, just because, you are having a unique experience. You're living in an amazing country for 1 year, and you get to explore all of the stuff that it has to offer. And that is something that is a privilege, but it's also something that, the best and brightest of the U.S. should be doing to help represent the nation.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.